Hello, friends, and welcome back to another action-packed episode of the Nintengems podcast, the Nintendo podcast where we dig deep on games both new and old. I am the first of your three co-hosts today, Braden. Next in line, we have...
Connor, it is I.
And I'm Jake. Happy to be back here. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, in whatever order I edit that, we're all stoked to be here. You guys doing all right?
Yeah, just vibing here in Knoxville. I mentioned earlier before we started recording that I haven't really touched my Switch in months before the release of the game we're talking about today. So I know it's a bit of a taboo, but even if I was on the podcast, I guess I wouldn't have really had much to talk about. But I'm happy to be here.
It's nice to have you back, one of the good old co-founders. It's nice.
Yeehaw.
Well, Connor and I are iced in, and so we're itching to talk about some games. Today we have a weird kind of remaster plus a bonus mode. Anybody want to introduce our lovely Nintengem of the episode?
Yes, so this episode we have a kind of strange, interesting phenomenon. It was one of those faded Wii U exclusives that was just bound to one day end up on the Switch, like all the other good Wii U games. But honestly, it took a little longer than I expected. You know what I mean?
I do hear you now, but we were also discussing before we started recording that Jake and I actually hadn't played this before this re-release. And so, now that I've played it, I do see the merit in it. And like, for people who played it on the Wii U, it's like, of course they're going to port it to the Switch. But I wouldn't have guessed it beforehand. But from my understanding, it's also one of the best-selling Wii U games, whatever that means, just, because the Wii U wasn't that high-selling in the first place.
Right, as good as the Wii U can sell. But, so the game is Super Mario 3D World, for those that have somehow not read the title of the episode. But I suppose what I mean is that it is essentially the flagship 3D Mario game for the Wii U. Like every Nintendo console kind of has that Mario game that kind of like sells the console, and this is kind of the closest the Wii U got to that. When we'll get into it, that some people don't consider it a true quote unquote 3D Mario experience, whatever that means. But it was originally released in 2013 for the Wii U. It also wasn't a launch title, which is interesting. Usually these mainline Mario games are the launch titles for the Nintendo consoles, but that was not the case for this one.
I was going to say, that's it's probably one of the reasons I missed this game is because I got my Wii U at launch in 2013, and I pretty much didn't buy any games past then. I got a bunch of the games around launch, and then I ended up picking up a PS4 like about a year later, or so.
Like everybody else.
Yeah, when the PS4 came out, and then I just I remember thinking, why would I spend money on the Wii U when I could just buy games for my PlayStation 4 instead? So I think by the time this game came out on Wii U, I was kind of checked out already of the Wii U ecosystem.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think you're not alone in that. So technically it's a sequel. First of all, it's a sequel to Super Mario 3D Land, which was on the Nintendo 3DS. That was released in 2011, a couple years prior. The kicker there was that it's called Super Mario 3D Land for the 3DS, and the gimmick essentially was that it was a 3D Mario game that was also like visually in 3D because of the 3DS. But it's a little perplexing as to why they chose to retain that title for the Wii U sequel. What do y'all think about that? It's a 3D Mario game, but it's not like in 3D. Why call it 3D World?
I don't recall how similar the gameplay 3D Land was to now how 3D World is. Was the gameplay similar enough, or was
it's practically identical?
Then I kind of understand why they would just upgrade the title to a grander title, as long as the gameplay format is more or less staying the same.
Sure, I suppose it feels a little like ironic or something. I don't know.
Yes, it does.
But the world part is a little more apt because it does take the 3D Land formula and expand it quite a bit. It's still like course based, like there's 8 worlds and each world has like maybe like half a dozen, maybe a few more levels in it that you kind of go through linearly. But the main change is the addition of 4-player cooperative play. So you can play as Mario, Peach, Toad, or Luigi, and you can have up to 4 players running around these levels, which obviously, because they have to facilitate 4 players, the levels themselves are also bigger, more expansive, more world-esque than land-esque, if you will.
Man, when we first started playing that and the 4 characters were there, and it reminded me of Super Mario Bros. 2, like, because I always loved playing. Mario was like my least favorite character on that game. You know what I mean? I like playing as,
Right.
it's fun to play as other people, and so
Right.
it was cool to see the cast.
Yeah, and like even I feel like it's a little less appreciated now since time has passed. But like with this launch of 3D World, they really kind of revived like for a lot of the promo art and for a lot of the like the menu art in game as well. They kind of revived this retro Mario style that you kind of saw for like the original Super Mario Bros. 3 cover art and such. Do you know what I mean?
It took the concept art a little more.
Right. It definitely took like the concept art from the retro games and kind of revived it, brought it back, which was a very cool touch. Made it feel very true to the Super Mario Bros. 2 formula as well. And each of the characters do control differently a little bit in this game, just like Super Mario Bros. 2. Mario is kind of the all-around. Luigi is a little slower, but jumps way higher, and he's kind of slippery. Peach has her hover, and
Peach
Toad
gang.
runs really fast. I'm a Toad main myself. I like going fast, outrunning everybody, even if his jump is a little short.
Jake, what you got?
Oh, Mario, obviously, because I'm boring.
No, that's fair enough.
Do you play Mario and Mario Kart as well?
No, actually, I play Yoshi or I either play Yoshi, one of the Inklings, or Isabelle in Mario Kart. But none of those are options here.
That's tasteful. So. And somebody, when we're playing as Peach and Toad, somebody has to be Mario. That's fine.
Yeah, you gotta tie it all together.
That's true.
It evens out.
Yeah. Some more new things with 3D World as opposed to 3D Land. They brought back like the raccoon suit, which was a thing. Some of the power-ups carried over. The main new addition is the cat power-up. You can grab a little bell and you become Cat Mario or Cat character.
I'm so conflicted.
Cat Mario is quite an uncanny looking guy.
He is. I'm just used to it. I'm desensitized to it, I guess, a little bit at this point. But Braden had a kind of a visceral reaction to seeing Mario kind of prowl around on all fours.
Yeah. Okay. I have converted my opinion to like the power up is good. You know what I mean? It is fun to climb, and his little dive attack is good, and his just paw attack, is convenient. But like, I'm not a cat person. I'm a dog person. And like, if they could have just made it a bear, you know what I mean? Bear Mario could do exactly the same things. Squirrel Mario, dude.
Squirrel Mario is already a thing. That was in New Super Mario Bros. U. There was an acorn power up in New Super Mario Bros. U where you could become a flying squirrel. So that's already taken.
Wow.
But everybody loves cats. I think that was their logic behind it. Like, cat is kind of a universal cute animal. I think the uncanniness comes in. Like, have either of y'all seen Cats, the musical, the movie?
No, of course. I avoided it, actually. I did
There's just something, like, unnerving about a human acting like a cat. Like, just generally. True. Let alone in, like, a kid's Nintendo game. Like,
I gotta say, I said that it was uncanny. He looked a bit uncanny, but I still got to GameStop and saw the Cat Peach and Cat Mario amiibo, and I still bought them.
They're cute when they're just like sitting around.
I wanted them too. They looked good. They're good looking amiibo.
I think that's just like FOMO of missing out, though. Like fear of missing out. I mean, with these amiibos, because I'm like, oh, what if I don't buy it and then I want it and it's rare?
Yeah, I understand.
Right. Among the new power-ups, I want to give a shout out to one that is severely underutilized, I think, in the game. It's kind of the thing like where the classic Mario level design, where each level kind of like introduces a concept and then the whole level is based around that concept. And there's like only a couple levels that use this new power-up. The double cherry is the coolest thing that's ever been in a Mario game.
Oh, what? I hate the double cherry, dude.
I literally just played my first.
No, it's so annoying and confusing.
It turns Mario into Pikmin.
I hate it.
For the visual for the audience, when you acquire the double cherry, it essentially just like creates another clone of your character. Like another Mario just pops up next to you, and then suddenly you're controlling those two Marios in tandem, like at the same time.
They will move identically. Unless one runs into a wall, in which the other Mario will continue moving while the other is just walking into a wall.
Right. Like if one Mario happens to be trailing ahead of another, then that one will fall down the pit first, and then the other one will follow suit. It's a little hard to explain, but the kicker is, the awesome part is that you keep getting double cherries throughout the duration of that level, and so you get like 5 or 6 Marios running around, and with 4 players, it's even crazier, obviously. But it's so much fun, and I'm so sad that it was only used in like a couple levels through the whole game.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I was playing before we started recording, and I just got to my first level with that, and I fell in love. That was, like Jake said, it made my brain kind of do things I didn't want it to do, but it was fun. It was cool.
If nothing else, Super Mario 3D World really makes you think about Mario in ways that you never did. What with the cat Mario and your own human animal sensibilities, and the double cherry, and whether it's ethical for one Mario to fall down the pit or the other, which like the created one or the original, it's really a prestige situation.
Yeah, Nintendo really poses life questions in this game.
Oh, yes.
I do have one question, actually, about the touch levels, and I'm curious how that worked on the Wii U, because I don't think I liked it the first time I encountered it. It wasn't exactly the most fluid experience. I was playing handheld, and to explain, the only level I've experienced with it is where you touch the screen and a block will shoot out of the wall so you can jump on it or use it as like a wall jump platform. But so how did that work on the Wii U?
Pretty much exactly that. Like if you're playing single player, or if you're playing multiplayer, whoever has the gamepad, you just tap the screen on the gamepad, same deal. What I'm more curious about is if you're playing the Switch version and you're not using the touch screen, how can you do that still?
Yeah, have neither of you guys played one of those levels on the TV?
Not on the Switch version.
Yeah, so I pretty much exclusively play my Switch on docked mode. I never really ever use it handheld, especially now that we live in a pandemic and I don't really go anywhere. But I was playing one of these levels the other day with my girlfriend, and basically it's just like how touch controls work in like Mario Galaxy for like the 3D World collection, whatever that's called. Where I use a Pro controller, and so it's like, so you tap the R button, and then a little like cursor comes up on the screen, and you just tap R where the cursor is, and it acts as if, and it like is tapping. You know what I mean? And it like taps things.
Wii remote kind of point and click thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, yeah. Needless to say, it was very gimmicky on the Wii U, and that was just kind of like an excuse to use the tablet controller. But that does remind me, something I forgot to mention is that this is really the introduction Captain Toad as we came to know him.
Oh yeah. Love Captain Toad.
Technically, I mean, he first appeared in Mario Galaxy as like a support character, but he really got like a starring role in Mario 3D World, because he had his own set of levels, essentially, that you on each world map. There's a little Captain Toad level that you can select where you play as Captain Toad, and in each Captain Toad level is kind of like this little like self-contained puzzle box looking sort of environment.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, kind of.
It's really interesting. It's just kind of like it's a slower paced, methodical, more like puzzle adventure sort of problem solving. You control Captain Toad. He can't jump, but you guide him around this little puzzle box environment, trying to collect all the stars. It's almost like a little like terrarium, and you can like rotate it and see all the angles. It's hard to explain, kind of. But if you play Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, then you've essentially played those levels. But this is where they originated.
Have you played that, Jake?
Yeah, I had it way back in the day. I haven't played it in a long time, but I really enjoy these levels in 3D World. I think they're a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite parts of the game, honestly.
The interesting thing when me and Braden were playing the Captain Toad levels in the Switch version are co-op. They were exclusively single player in the Wii U version. If you were playing with 4 players,
really?
it was the gamepad player's turn, and that was just that. Like, it just kind of ground like the gameplay to a halt a little bit if you're playing with more than one person, because then everybody else just has to watch.
Yeah, it makes sense to me why they would do that though, because I've been playing all of 3D World with my girlfriend in co-op, and those levels do not make for good co-op levels.
Right.
Yeah, and especially if you're like one person doesn't really know exactly what's going on.
Right.
Because
you can both control the camera.
Yeah, it gets a bit annoying and makes it a bit hard.
I think that's about all there is like truly substantial to note about 3D World before we dive into the Switch version proper and all the new content and the whole new extra game we got, essentially. But if I think of anything, I will certainly chime in.
How far have you gotten playing in 3D World, Jake?
So in 3D World, I'm on World 4, I believe.
Okay.
About halfway through it, I think.
Yeah, that's some good progress. Just before the podcast, I made it to World 3. And so I'm moving slow, but I've spent time elsewhere. We'll get to that, but I'm enjoying it. Connor came over the Friday that it released, and we played for a little bit, a couple hours, I'd say, and it was a lot of fun. I was expecting like new Super Mario Bros. You know what I mean? I was expecting like that style gameplay.
Really?
2D maybe, kind of weird 3D graphic. Yeah, it was a blast, and I'm very happy with it, and I've had fun playing it solo. I'm still trying to convince my wife that she will have fun with it.
It's an accessible game. I mean, I think it's fun playing with like a quote unquote non-gamer. It's a Mario game, you know?
And especially the thing, I mean, with co-op in 3D World is it seems pretty competitive, you know? It inherently is like, oh, here's a score at the end of every level. How'd you do and how'd they do? And oh, here's a crown for the person who does better, which to my girlfriend, who is ultra competitive, is not good and pits her against me.
Oh, but it makes it so much more fun. It adds like this layer that I think it really needs to not just feel like it is a Mario game and also there are 3 other players there for some reason. Like it adds like a level of dynamism to the moment-to-moment gameplay that I think is really important. So that you're like always actually interacting with each other rather than just like kind of
you can see that
getting through the level. To explain for the audience, the layman, if you're playing with more than one person at the end of each level, yes, it tells you each player's score, and whoever gets the highest score obtains a crown, and your character wears that crown through each level, but it can be knocked off if you take damage, if you die, and then another player can steal your crown, and if you finish the level with the crown on, whichever player finishes it and is still wearing the crown gets an extra 5,000 points at the end of the level. So it's all shallow. It's all mostly meaningless. It's just kind of like just for fun. And I think that's the best thing too. I'm glad it doesn't like give anybody an actual advantage. I think that would make it a little imbalanced. Yeah.
I agree. You kicked my butt. I'm annoyed at how good you were just even those first few levels.
I mean, like, it's not fair. I'd played it before.
It's true because like I didn't even realize the flagpoles at the end of the level were flagpoles for the first couple levels. Yeah, that's true. I'm acquainted now, but I'm like I said, dude, the whole 3D World thing really took me by surprise.
Yeah, I was about to say I really love this game. I like it a lot more than I thought I would. I get the same kind of joy out of playing it that I feel like I do like some of the other 3D Marios, like how I did when I was revisiting the 3D Mario collection that came out last year and then playing like Mario Odyssey. Like I think it's a lot of fun. And I'd heard that for years that this is one of the best Mario games out there. But I was like, I don't know. It just looks kind of like 2D Mario. And I like 2D Mario, but I don't love 2D Mario. But I don't know. I think this is a good meeting between the two. You know, it's not exactly 3D. It's not exactly 2D. But I think it takes some of the best parts of both and makes it to a really, really fun game.
Definitely. It's interesting. I keep having to remind myself, like when people are visiting this game for the first time and like loving it, this game was not, I mean, obviously it was on the Wii U, so it naturally received not as much attention as maybe it deserved, but it really wasn't like, I mean, again, it wasn't a launch title. Like people were kind of hoping for the Wii U's take on like a next generation HD true 3D Mario game. Right. So to get what is essentially, I mean, a Super Mario 3D Land sequel and in a way a bit more formulaic 3D Mario game, a less experimental one, especially compared to like Super Mario Odyssey that we got later, it was kind of disappointing in like a very small surface level way. It's now easy to enjoy in retrospect. Now that we have Super Mario Odyssey, we have like the best of 3D Mario, as it were, at this point. So now it's kind of nice to bring back this refresher that like, oh yeah, this is what kind of classic Mario 3D gameplay feels like. Like Odyssey was so experimental. Let's return to form a little bit, bring back the formula for like a new generation, the Switch generation. And I'm glad I mean, as a Wii U adopter, I am glad that people are enjoying this game and giving it the proper attention now.
Heck yeah. Well, on that note, should we transition into, I would say, the most hyped part of this re-release? Certainly what I jumped to first, what I was most excited for, and I don't even think I'm going to censor this. The most badass part of this game, Bowser's Fury. Should we jump into that conversation?
Absolutely.
For sure.
And I mean, tell me about it. Like again, I mean, I keep tooting this horn, but as somebody that played the original, I mean, an entire new, basically half of the game, that's all new content, a whole new game, essentially. Yeah. I was very pumped for this part.
I was definitely looking forward to this, but I guess it wasn't really everything that I thought it would be. I'm not really a huge fan of it. I definitely find myself enjoying the just normal 3D world a lot more. I guess I wasn't expecting it to really feel like 3D world, but like in a fully 3D environment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I was astonished how, yeah, it really does just feel like you're playing more 3D world, which 3D world is good, but I don't know if I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of how it works in like a kind of quote unquote like open world. You know,
right? It feels kind of limiting on such a large scale.
Yeah, and you know, I knew that it wasn't going to be super long, but I feel like it's even smaller than I was expecting it to be. You know, I got to the third. I mean, how far are you guys in this?
So I have completed the story, I guess, quote unquote. It's pretty short and a shallow storyline, but I have 65 stars now. I don't know if it's a spoiler to say that there are 100 total, and so I'm on my way there.
I guess we should probably explain like what this extra game like kind of is, right? Because it's not 3D world. It's not like linear course based, world based kind of thing. Like Jake, you mentioned open world.
Yeah. So Bowser's Fury is this new mode basically that's been added. That's, you know, a little extra game. It is much more 3D Mario than 3D World is. Open world, like semi-open world. I guess it is fully open world, but there really isn't much to do in the world, in my opinion.
Sure.
But there's this open world where there's this giant evil quote unquote Fury Bowser, where Bowser's gone, I don't know, crazy due to some gunk or goo or something. Yeah. And Mario is brought in, and Bowser Jr. enlists his help, and they team up and have to go around and get these cat shines to make Mario be able to become like this giant cat Mario, Super Saiyan cat Mario.
Heck yeah.
And fight a giant Fury Bowser and defeat him. That was a terrible way, I feel like, of describing it.
It's hard to
describe. Man,
it's a weird thing.
I'm really appreciative of that because I think that was better than I could have done, and really kind of leads into some of the points that I wanted to talk about, though. First off, how cool Bowser is. Ever since Super Smash Bros. Melee, when they introduced Giga Bowser, I've just been fascinated with the concept of this Godzilla-like level of Bowser. I've thought it was super cool and like kind of surpassed the typical cheesy family-friendly Mario. Yeah. And though this is still within the realm of, you know, Mario World, like, you know, it's nothing dark and gory, but like it's so cool. Yes, it is edgy, and it's badass when Bowser comes out of the water, Godzilla style, fire and lightning starts crashing all around you. The world kind of changes all around you as well. I have a little less praise for the points where you actually size up as the Super Saiyan giant cat Mario. I did happen to think that was kind of one of the weaker points of the experience. It was necessary, like, story-wise, or you know what I mean? It was...
Right, because, I mean, how else are you going to combat, like, gargantuan... this is, I mean, aside from, like, Giga Bowser in Super Smash Bros., like, this is, like, the biggest and baddest and most, like, unstoppable Bowser has appeared in anything like Mario game. And that's certainly saying something, especially like when for the past couple of decades, he's mostly like, even when he at his most like powerful or badass, he's like kind of portrayed as like a narcissistic kind of bumbling goofball at his core.
Sure, yeah.
And now he's just like, oh my God, he is a monster and he cannot be stopped. Was like the idea at least, but right in execution, like especially when you like become Gargantuan Mario, it is kind of a little underwhelming, I suppose.
Yeah,
right. That's the word I think I was probably looking for. Underwhelming after all the anticipation.
Right, and that was when this game was announced, that the whole Bowser's Fury mode was kind of kept under wraps. And then the details about it didn't really emerge until like just several weeks before release, pretty late in the game, until was when we realized like what exactly Bowser's Fury meant, what Fury Bowser was. And it definitely helped with the marketing, showing like Kaiju Bowser, Godzilla man.
Oh, that's for sure, yeah.
Like it's Godzilla. He's like blowing laser beams, atomic breath, he's like huge and like covered in black with like orange glowing spikes and stuff. It's pretty on the nose. But yeah, there was a lot to look forward to, it looked like, because it really was a new approach to like the threat of Bowser.
For sure.
Especially in like the moment to moment gameplay, it is kind of cool. So I guess from the top, this Bowser's Fury mode, you as Mario, kind of like Jake alluded to, there's a huge open 3D world, free roam. It's kind of like the kingdoms in Mario Odyssey, but just like on this macro scale. It kind of feels like a few kingdoms in Mario Odyssey stitched together.
Yeah, see, and that's what this open world is, something that I was really disappointed with, mostly just because of how much of it is just nothing. Like you get a map after I don't know if it's at the beginning or after the first part, but eventually Bowser Jr. kind of has this map of the world. And I mean, it's just striking how much of it is just water.
Right.
And I kind of hate that, honestly. Like, because really all it is you go from place to place. And for the majority of these areas in the 3D open world are just kind of their own contained little areas, to the point where you enter and it even like gives a little title and has like, oh, there are this many like obvious cat shines here.
Right.
And at that point, I wish they kind of would have just made some kind of hub world where you jump into levels, as opposed to like being like, oh yeah, it's an open world.
It is. It's definitely like kind of a thin veil for singular self-contained levels. Like it's basically just a huge ocean, and each like section of it is just kind of like, each island is kind of its own level, its own set of challenges, its own set of cat shines that you collect. And they are pretty self-contained. They don't like, there's not much like crossover between you don't like hit a switch on one island and go to the other one to do something. Like it's cool in concept, but in execution it really is just like singular isolated levels. There's not much to the open world, other than it is just kind of impressive for a Mario game, that there's no loading screens or anything. It's all seamless.
That's true.
Dude, the loading screen is really long to get in the game, and when you are going large to fight Bowser, both of those loading screens are really long.
It is, yeah.
Not that means too much, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, as someone who's playing most of their games on a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series S now, the load screens were definitely noticeable.
Sure.
Yeah, I imagine so.
It's almost really cool because in the segments where you become giant Super Saiyan Cat Mario, like you're battling in the giant ocean open world, but you're giant size. So you're like kind of like moving around these islands, like practically stomping on them. It's cool that you are fighting in that same world, but it is like the first thing I noticed, what is that? It was separated by a loading screen. And I was like, nice try, Nintendo. Like, yeah. Impressive as you want it to be, maybe. Or as I want it to be, frankly. Like that, the fact that there is a loading screen separating those is kind of disappointing.
I will say, I mean, I've been pretty negative on this so far. I do enjoy it. I think it is fun. But one more complaint that I have, I wish it was a little bit more challenging.
Definitely.
There are definitely some hard cat shines that are around, some difficult ones to find, or some hard hidden like tokens. But I hate that there's no life system. And I know lives in Mario don't really mean anything anyways, because when I've been playing 3D World with my girlfriend, we've zeroed out probably 4 or 5 times, and you literally just exit the level and start it again.
Right.
Like they don't really mean anything. But the fact that there aren't any lives, and every time you die, you just kind of start back right where you were, and the coins are only there to give you power-ups, which I don't know about you guys, but pretty much the entire game I had 5, which is the max you can carry of each power-up. I had like 5 of each the whole time,
more or less.
I was playing through it being like, well, this is a breeze, especially if you're just trying to get to the quote unquote like end of the game, because you only need is it just the 40 shines for that? Because I haven't finished it completely.
No, it's 50 to get to the end game, and 50. Then there's 50 shines post game.
Okay. So, but even with that, I feel like it's just not, I don't know. I was just a little disappointed. I thought it was a bit too easy. Sure. And I know Mario is not supposed to be super difficult, but I don't know. I like to feel a little bit of challenge in my games.
Nintendo has been like pretty forward thinking recently with Mario and like the whole live system and how that works. Like back in Mario Odyssey, when you die, you just lose coins, and that was kind of inhibiting to the progress because you had to use coins to buy things. But I appreciate them for this new Bowser's Fury mode abandoning the lives as well. I think, like you said, Jake, lives it's kind of just like a pedantic sort of tradition at this point. Like it's just kind of obligatory for Mario to have lives, and you get a game over, and then when you get a game over, you basically start where you were anyway. The thing that I don't appreciate is that all these islands, these levels are very vertical. They're very tower-esque, mountain-esque, and a lot of the time you're ascending them, you're platforming, you're making your way to the top, and if you fall off at any point, you just have to start from the beginning. I don't know. It for some reason it feels more frustrating than just having live, like you fall off and you die and you start over anyway. Like especially because there is no finite resource like lives. Like the cycle of making your way up, accidentally falling off the side, and then just having to make your way back around the whole side of the mountain, start over this challenge that you already basically completed. It just it felt cyclical and frustrating to me. I don't really know why it was much different than lives. Yes, Braden, what? All right. Yes.
You two are party poopers. So
what?
I have a different take on that, kind of. As a guy who like sucks at Mario, I have been kind of trying to 100% my way along the way. Like I've been getting all of the cat shards on each island as I went, and I've gone back and like collected all of those, and any of the like little exclamation points on the map, I've gone to get those. And there are a couple times where maybe it was after one particular cat shard or something where I didn't lose all my lives, but I ran out of Tanuki suits, and that's what I needed the most. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so, for whatever that's worth, again, I am bad at Mario, and I'll admit that. And so, like, maybe what takes me 5 tries would take the average person too. I don't know.
Sure.
But, you know what I mean? There are maybe only a handful. And again, I'm literally like 6/10 of the way through the game. Maybe the difficulty will go up a little bit.
But did it test your patience having to, like, if you ever fell off, like, on accident, like, having to start over? Like, if there are checkpoints or anything?
There are. There
Really?
are some checkpoints. On a couple of them.
Not if you die, though. That's not... If you fall off the level entirely. Like, you can't just checkpoint back up, retain the progress you made. I don't know.
Yeah.
One other thing that we haven't touched on yet is the presence of Bowser Jr., This Bowser's Fury mode is also co-op, only 2-player co-op.
Yeah.
But co-op nonetheless. And
we didn't like it, Connor and I.
We didn't like it. Me and Braden tried it out. When we booted up Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, we started with Bowser's Fury, and we were like, cool, new mode, 2-player, let's hit it. And we tried it for all of 5 minutes, and then I dropped out as Bowser Jr., and then we just started taking turns instead.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't tried any co-op on Bowser's Fury because my girlfriend doesn't really play games, and I was like, let's just stick to the more traditional Mario. Good. So I haven't just played it single player. So it's interesting to hear that it's not very good. Why don't you guys like it?
It feels very reminiscent of Super Mario Odyssey's. What's the hat's name? Toppy? I don't know. I don't remember his name, but like Cappy.
Yeah.
It feels very reminiscent of Cappy's multiplayer relevance. You know what I mean? He kind of just floats around, and you can.
That shallow co-op mode has kind of been that was also in Mario Galaxy. Like there was a 2-player mode in that, believe it or not, where the second player could like point at the screen and shoot the star bits. This like a tertiary cooperative play has kind of also been like traditional in 3D Mario games for a while, and they tried to make it more involved and more fun and dynamic because you play as Bowser Jr. in the world, like you are running around alongside Mario. Bowser Jr. can like float and hover and fly around, and you can point at the different like painted spots around walls and floors to bring out power-ups or whatever. But the main issue is the difference between this co-op and the co-op of the main 3D Mario World game is that the camera is entirely free controlled. And that it's almost impossible to like discern where you are moving as Bowser Jr. when the camera is constantly pivoting around Mario. You're just kind of like in the background. Player one is controlling the camera. You're controlling it however they need to make whatever jump they need to look at whatever thing on another side of a platform they need to. And Bowser Jr. is like, you're just kind of like trying to stay on the screen essentially more than you are helping is really all it comes down to. And I think that's part of what made, after we tried Bowser's Fury, hopping onto the main game, is because in Mario 3D World proper, every level has a fixed camera.
Right.
For the whole level. And that's what makes it so easy and accessible to play, is that it's all 3D, yes, but it's all like diorama-esque. There's just one angle for the whole level, and you don't have to like do too much weird maneuvering or exploring. Because that kind of gameplay and like that kind of camera control doesn't work with 2 players.
You end up behind the camera.
Right. So all that to say, good call, Jake. I think Bowser's Fury overall is better as a single player experience, which I think helps compound the main game, because I think the main game, Mario 3D World, is better as a cooperative experience. When you're running around solo in those levels, they feel kind of big and expansive, but like almost comparatively empty. Like there's just like a little too much extra running around space that's like meant for more players. So overall, I think Bowser's Fury helps compound that by being a better single player experience overall.
Yeah, right. I would say like I've been pretty negative on Bowser's Fury in this discussion so far. I want to be clear that I think it's good. I think it's fun. I think it's a good experience, but I wouldn't say it, like, if you already played a ton of 3D World when Wii U came out, unless you're like really wanting to go back and re-experience that, 7-8 years later, I don't think Bowser's Fury it warrants the $60 for this. If you're just getting it to play Bowser's Fury, I think it's a nice bonus. And I think 3D World is definitely worth $60 in my opinion. I'm having a ball with it. Like I'm so much fun. It's been great. The past 3 or 4 nights, my girlfriend and I have sat down for 2 or 3 hours, because it's been the weekend. But we've sat down for 2 or 3 hours and played this game, and it's been a ton of fun. So I don't regret buying it at all. But if I was someone who just bought this to play Bowser's Fury, I would feel very ripped off. And honestly, Bowser's Fury feels like it feels like a $20 experience, I guess, or maybe even less. I don't know. I was astounded about how short it is, honestly. But So all that to be said, I think it's cool, and I'm glad that they added it, as opposed, it's better than like for New Super Mario Bros. Wii U, which to my knowledge was just a straight port, and they were like, all right, give us $60 again.
Or like Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Pikmin 3 Deluxe had some additions, but not enough to maybe warrant.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like not enough new content to warrant like an extra subtitle to it, or like to call it like to release it for full price is
for sure
justify that.
Yeah. And I don't, like I said, I just don't think that this would warrant the purchase if this is all that you're buying. I think it's a nice addition to 3D World, but when I boot up this game from now on, because I'm, this is a game I'm probably going to own forever, because Nintendo games never go down in price. So whenever I do boot it up, whenever down the line, after I finish Bowser's Fury, I'll honestly probably never go back. Like I'll probably just come back to this game for 3D World.
Definitely. I will endorse that take. as well as a Wii U Mario 3D World adopter. I would, if you are one of the 15 people that owns a Wii U and Mario 3D World and like 4 Wii remotes to play it with, and your Wii U is still like plugged in and accessible, you probably don't need to buy this version of Mario 3D World. I will also, along with the other two, that Bowser's Fury is a fun experience. It's worth it if you don't have 3D World already, but if you do for the Wii U and you can already play it, I don't think this is worth the extra buy. On the flip side, if you've never played 3D World, didn't get the chance, and you have a Switch, you have no reason not to own this, and Bowser's Fury is just like another, like I said, just like an extra little helping on top of single player fun.
Blammo. I don't have too much more to add on top of that. I
get the impression that you like it a lot more than we do, which is fine, totally valid.
Yes, I think that's the truth. Possibly not 3D World, you know what I mean? I think we're all on even footing there. But yeah, Bowser's Fury, I think I'm definitely more partial to, and kind of a syndrome that I've been facing with games lately. It makes me want more. It gives me ideas for what the next iteration might be or could be. You know what I mean? And so that makes me excited and fun. I don't think we'll ever see Fury Bowser again, which, man, I freaking love. I'm just in love with. I do think the open world with the 3D world style gameplay, you know, there's...
It had a lot of potential.
Yeah, there's some interesting things to be mined there, but it needs the triple jump.
Oh man. The whole Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, for some reason, Mario's moveset doesn't include the triple jump. And I think that's because of the other characters, to be fair. I don't think Peach can triple jump.
They can all have a triple jump. Whatever. I don't know. You're right. You're probably right. But, like, I don't know. I do miss it. I do have one more topic I want to bring up before we wrap up, but sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that's one of the things that I was surprised, and one of the reasons I feel like I don't like it as much as I should is I was expecting it to be more of its own thing. Like, I knew it was attached to 3D World, but I was really surprised, you know, you get into it and it feels just like 3D World from, you know, not only just the controls and like there's no triple jump, but also like all of the enemies are cats, which doesn't make any sense in this to me. You know, like, why can't they just be the normal Goombas or Koopas? And I'm like, why is everything a cat here?
They really never connected that thread properly.
Yeah.
No. But, okay, so before we duck out of here, I do have one more thing I want to talk about, and it might have been in the Wii U version, but that screenshot mode, though, have you all played with that?
I have not, no.
Holy cow, no. Okay. So, Connor, can you confirm whether it was in the Wii U version?
I don't think so. Is this something that you can do in like 3D World?
Both in 3D World and in Bowser's Fury, if you press the down arrow, literally at any point, it freezes the game and opens up a screenshot taker. And let me tell you, when Bowser is hitting the town, you can take some sweet screenshots. It's really strange. There's probably at least a dozen different filters that you can put on. None of them like look quite as good as just like the normal thing. You know what I mean? It's like sepia, and you don't want to see Mario in sepia.
It's like the photo mode. They had that in Odyssey, like a photo mode.
Yes, but there's one more thing which is fascinating to me. Connor explained that the stamps in 3D World, were the collectibles kind of that you got throughout. You can stamp the ground and items throughout the world with those stamps and take screenshots.
Interesting.
It's bizarre. It doesn't look good. These stamps, for those who haven't played the game, like, they're literally like, it's promotional art of Mario in like what you would imagine just as like a patch on a shirt or something like that. You know what I mean? It's icons of Mario and Peach and the piranha plant.
But you can just like stamp it onto the texture of like the world and like the ground.
100%.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and so it presents a lot of fun things, and so I'm looking forward to sharing some of like the screenshots I've taken. It's been fun to mess around with it.
Fine art, I'm sure. Interesting. For the record, I guess because I've already explained this to Braden before, but for Jake and for the audience, in the original Wii U 3D World, the Wii U had this ill-fated service called Miiverse. It was its own social network. Do you remember Miiverse, Jake?
Oh yeah, I miss Miiverse every day.
Me too. But those stamps that you can collect in 3D World, like in the levels, you could in the Wii U version, you could put those stamps on your Miiverse messages.
Right.
Was the point, was the concept behind that. And they kept the stamps in, which I thought was interesting in the game. Like they kept them in as a collectible, but I was interested to see like if they still had any like exterior function. But that's interesting. That's cool that they do, that you can still use them in some way. It's a little sideways.
Yeah, it's not like hashtag aesthetic or anything, but it's fun.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, anything else, either one of you?
I mean, in conclusion, we've said this multiple times, but I do think that this is worth $60 or, worth the buy in general. If you've never played 3D World before, or you're just you've played it 7 or 8 years ago, but hey, it's been super long. Mm-hmm. So you're ready to come back in. I think if you're ready to experience 3D World, this is worth the buy, and Bowser's Fury is a nice little bonus. But if you've had your fill of 3D World and you just want to play Bowser's Fury, maybe wait.
Yeah,
honestly, agreed.
I think that's fair.
Sick.
Well, all right, guys. This has been a good time. Jake, thank you again so much for joining us. Your insight has been a delight.
Yes.
Of course, yeah. It's been nice to be back. We didn't talk about this, and I don't know if we ever will, but I played a lot of Little Nightmares 2 recently. That's also on Switch. Go buy that. It's very good. That's all I have to say.
All right. Well, you better come back soon, and we can talk about it.
Perhaps.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. It's been a blast to have you here. As always, please subscribe to whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on right now. Go like us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. We got it all. And there's also a Discord link in the description. So come chat with us. I guess that'll do it for us. We will see you next time. My name is Brayden.
I'm Connor.
And I'm Jake.
Oh, and this is Nintendoms. And we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Love you.